In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to sew a jean jacket neatly and professionally to give you the boutique standard jean jacket that you can sell at a very high price as a streetwear designer. If you have not watched the drafting aspect of this jacket, kindly follow the link in the description box to watch the drafting aspect first for a better understanding of this video, because in this video, I focus more on transferring the already drafted pattern to fabric and to interesting sewing techniques. So quickly, let's get started. So here I bought 2 yards of jean material. There are different types of jean in the market, but please do not buy a stretchy jean material. You can either buy a light jean or a thick jean, but make sure that the jean you intend using for your jean jacket is not stretchy. So I'll go ahead to transfer the already drafted pattern to fabric for the back, the front and the sleeve, and I'm going to be adding a sewing allowance of 0.75 inches all around for each pattern piece. I have a video on 1/8 and 1/16 tape reading on my channel. I'll also drop the link in the description box. Take note of this when transferring your pattern to fabric. On every other part, you should add your 0.75 except for the back and the front neckline and any pieces involved with the front center. Do not add your 0.75 inch to these areas I just mentioned. So I've gone ahead to cut this out on the upper part. I have 2 pieces of this and I cut 2 pieces for each and every other front part. Now, do not forget to notch the top part of each of these patterns so that you do not mistake it for another when you unpin your pattern from the fabric. I have also transferred the back pattern, and for the back center, I cut it on fold. The center is not expected to have any joints. I add my sewing allowance all around. Then for the sleeve, I've also cut it out. For the sleeve center, I cut it on fold and I have 2 pieces of it for the both sleeve. Then for the other part, I have 4 pieces for the second sleeve part. For the upper back part, you should also cut it on fold. I added no allowance on the neck but added all around. I'll go ahead to transfer the shoulder notch to the main fabric. I'll unpin my pattern from the lower pieces and we are going to be joining this accordingly. We are going to be joining this wrong side facing wrong side. You'll be joining this to the right side of your fabric and you'll be joining with your 0.75 inch allowance. So I'll go ahead to join the 2 sides equally, which I have done, and you're going to be trimming out 1 seam allowance. You are using the flat seam technique, so you are doing that for the both sides. And next, you're going to be using the left out seam, fold it like this, then you'll be top stitching on it. So here I've gone ahead to top stitch one side. I'll repeat the same thing for the second side. You fold it down, fold it again to cover the first rough seam, and you go ahead to top stitch this straight. This is referred to as a flat seam. I have a detailed tutorial on it. I'll leave the link in the description box just in case you did not get this explanation very clear. So this is it for the finishing. This is the same finishing we are going to be using to join the upper back part. The same stitching method we'll be using to join also the front pieces together. The same stitching method. You join to the right side. Remember to join the upper parts together and remember to take in your 0.75 inch stitch allowance. Like I said, for the front pieces, remember not to add a sewing allowance on the front center. Alright, you just add on every other part aside from the front center. So I've gone ahead to join the front pieces together using the same method. Before you join the upper part, you would have to fix the pocket. The length of the pocket is 7. At the side, I measured 6. Like I measured 7. Then I went ahead to measure 6 at the side and slanted it. Very simple. The width is 6 inches. I'll go ahead to fold this up like this and I'm going to top stitch it like so. To fix the pocket, you measure 2 inches from the side. Then you are going to measure 1 inches from the up. So I'll go ahead to mark out this 1 inches like this. My pocket will be starting 2 inches away from the center. So I'll go ahead to top stitch this pocket all around. All you have to do is to fold it in and top stitch it all around. Next, for the pocket cover, I cut out a width of 5.5 inches and a length of 3.5 inches at the center and 2.5 inches at the side and slanted it. I'll place it on another one and sew it all around and I'll trim out the excess. Then I'll go ahead to flip it to the right side and I'm just going to top stitch the pocket all around like so. So when you are done with the top stitching, you are going to place it at the top like so and sew it straight up. So I'm done sewing. Now you take the upper part and you make sure your 0.75 0.75 inch on the wrong side of the upper part. Mark it out. Now you place the down part on this marked line, and I'm just going to stitch it straight up like so. When you are done stitching, you take out the seam allowance, place it on the rough seam, and you go ahead to top stitch it. You might be needing a bigger needle for this. So when you are done, to keep the upper part flat, you would also need to top stitch the upper part as well. So this is it. I'll use the same method for the second side, which I have done, and I'll go ahead to join this to the upper part and the side using the flat seam method, joining to the right side and top stitching with the other seam. So when I'm done with this, I went ahead to cut a long band. The width of this band is 5 inches, and we're going to be sewing this right side facing the wrong side of your jacket, and you sew it all around. When you are done sewing this, you are going to flip this to the right side like so, and you are going to be making a band at the waist. Now the width of whatever you have here should not be up to 2 inches. For me, what I have here right now is 1.75 inches. So you just fold it in like so, and you go ahead to sew this all around, and this will be for the down. I'll give it a second stitch line like this, okay? Then I'll go ahead to stitch it at the down with another stitch line. All right, so that is it for the lower part. Just make sure you give your stitch line as I explained. Now we go to the front center. I cut a band of 5 inches wide, and now we are going to be sewing this from the wrong side, and your band should be the right side facing the wrong side. And to start sewing this, make sure that your band exceeds the down part a bit like so. Okay, it should exceed the down part. Then you flip it to the back a bit like this. The exceeded part, you flip it to the back. Then you go ahead to sew this using 0.75 inch all the way to the top. So when you are done, you flip this like this to the right side, and this is the essence of that fold at the down. It gives it a clean finish. So next, you just use your hand to extend that fold upward. Then you make a band out of what you've just sewn, flipping it to the right side. You are going to be top stitching this opening part, but before then, you have to fold in this part like so. Like I said, your band should not be up to 2 inches. When you are done folding it, it should be left with 1.25. So you just fold in the band like so, and you sew it straight down. All right, you start sewing from the ending like that, closing up the opening at the down. Then you go ahead to sew it straight up. I did not know that my camera was not filming that point. So here I'm done with that. For the sleeve, I've gone ahead to join the side that is facing your front jacket with the flat seam method. For the part that is facing the back, the sleeve that is facing the back, this is how you should join it. You'll be joining it differently, right side facing right side. Okay, you are using the flat seam method for the pieces of the sleeve that is facing the back. And if you start stitching, you measure 4 inches from the down before you start stitching straight up. All right, this is for the sleeve pieces that is facing the back, please. All right, so you measure 4 inches upward, and you sew all the way to the up. For this open part, you are going to cut out a piece of fabric, and the width of this fabric is 2 inches wide. For the length, it can be just as long as this part. So the next thing to do, I'll just clip this point down to where my stitch stops, exactly like so. And I'm going to take one of the band and one of the seam like so. I'll place the band right side facing right side, and I'm going to sew this all the way to where the other stitch stop, exactly at my clip point. That is it. So I'll go ahead to trim out the excess at the down, and I'll take this excess, and I'm going to be reducing this added fabric by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go ahead to turn it up just like you see me do, like this, like this. Then I'll go ahead to top stitch it like so. We are trying to create a placket, please. So that is it for one side. For the second side, you still take the pieces of fabric that you cut out, place it right side facing right side, and you join it the same way we joined the other one. Okay, so I have just joined it. For this second sleeve part, it is expected to be at least 0.75 inch underneath, so that this first placket can sit on it. So it is expected to come out a bit like so. So holding it down a bit like this, I'll just go ahead to finish the side, pushing this one upward like this. I'll go ahead to bend in the corner like so, and I'll go ahead to sew this straight down, and this would be for the second sleeve placket. I hope you understand. Just watch what I'm doing and you would get it very well, just in case I don't have the right word. So you can see the under one and the upper one is lapping very well. Now for this side, you're going to push your seam to one side and you're going to be top stitching on the seam to give it that flat seam look. All right, so you're going to top stitch all the way to where that your opening is for the sleeve placket, and you're going to like turn the sleeve so that you can stitch on it to keep the two plackets overlapped together. I hope you understand, Sha. My camera was not very fixed, but I just hope you can see it very well. I did not know that it did not extend very well, but just try and see it. So this is it. So to join the side, you are going to be sewing on the right side using the flat seam method. Go ahead to join it first, trim out the seam excess, and when you are joining the sleeve, you have to be very careful because it might be a bit tight. You have to be arranging the down sleeve so that you are not at the same time sewing the other part of the sleeve. So you can see how I took my time to be arranging it while folding in the seam to get my flat seam look. Okay, so this is it for the seam. I'll use the same method for the second seam. So we are going to go ahead to measure all around the round sleeve, and what I have here is 11. I'll go ahead to measure this out. I'm using a width of 8 inches, and for the length, I'll measure the length, and I'm going to be adding half of an inch extra when I'm cutting it, and this half inch extra is for the sewing allowance. To sew this up, you are going to measure 0.75 inches from the down at the both corner, and when you want to start sewing, you are expected to start sewing from that 0.75 inch all around, and you should stop at that 0.75 inch at the other point like so. So I'll trim out the excess like so. Then next, you are going to take one part of the sleeve placket and you trim a 0.25 inch out like this to make one part shorter and the other one longer. I'll turn this to the right side now. The shorter part which I trimmed will be the part we'll be fixing on the back part, this shorter part. So next, I'm going to take my sleeve, placing the shorter part on the wrong side, starting from the beginning of the sleeve. I'm just going to sew this all around the sleeve. Remember, you are sewing the shorter part. Okay, so when I'm done sewing, I flip this to the right side, and using the longer part, you just trim out this so that it will not be bulky for you. All right, so I'm going to take the left out unsewn sleeve placket and you go ahead to fold it like so, like you see me do. Fold it like this, then you go ahead to sew as you arrange this all the way to the other end. On getting to the other end, you are just going to flip your sleeve like this and you run a stitch line all around the sleeve placket. Please, I did not know that this was not filming. All you have to do is to run a stitch all around the sleeve placket, then you get back to the up part and you run a second stitch line. This is the finished sleeve. You can see the double lines like I explained. You can just go ahead to fix your buttonhole. All right, you can see the double lines. Notch the center part of the sleeve. You are not joining this to the right side. You are going to be joining this the normal way you join your sleeve on the wrong side, and you pin the notch points together and you sew it all around. I'm done sewing that. Next, you are going to open up your sleeve, and on the right side, make sure your inner seam is seated on the sleeve part. And you are going to be top stitching on the sleeve part and not on the jacket bodies. So you go ahead to top stitch with a 0.3 inch width all around the armhole part of the sleeve to get the double jean line. I'll use the same method for the second sleeve. Next thing, you place the two front centers together, then you go to the neckline to check for any shortages, then you go ahead to trim it out like this to make them equal. Next, I'll go ahead to measure the total circumference of the neck, of which I have a total of 17.5. When making a collar for a jean jacket, you do not need to interface the collar like adding collar gum, paper stay or any stay to the collar because the jean material is already thick and it will stand on its own. I have a video on this channel on how you can cut a one-piece collar. I will leave the link in the description box for you. The only difference is that you do not need to interface it because it's a jean collar. One very important thing, when you are done, I would advise you take your jean jacket to the market to make your buttonholes to be very neat. And if you want to give it that ready to wear jean jacket original vibe, Also take it to the market and fix your melter button, and trust me, your jean jacket will be giving the ready to wear jean jacket vibe. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to see you in my next streetwear tutorial. Please let me know in the comments what streetwear tutorial you would want to see next from Chi. Thank you so much and bye.